Gray. I've got my oldest son, Blake, is had to work some this weekend. Wasn't able to be here. My daughter, Ava, is getting ready for a national volleyball tournament in Florida. I'm going to go join her tomorrow. But my youngest son, Gray, stand up, Gray, in the back. Wave, all right, is with me tonight. And this will be Gray is an incoming sixth grader. How many incoming sixth graders do we have in the room? You guys are getting ready to join youth group? Yay! Awesome. You guys are so welcome here. Get excited. You got a lot of years of youth conference ahead of you, and you have a lot to look forward to. How many of you guys go to Reverb in the spring? Yeah. Like, haven't you been wanting something another time besides Reverb? Like, it's a long time to wait, right? So this is amazing. This is amazing. So thank you, Sam and Kirsten and Brandon and the team. Just give a big round of applause to all of them. All right, yeah, there's my fam. I just introduced them, so they're awesome. It's really weird when your kids start getting taller than you. I know many of you are taller than your parents. It's like the strangest thing, but it's really, really cool. And I feel so honored to be able to speak with you guys tonight and kick off this conference. I'm so honored. I love. I've loved my kids being teenagers. You know, some people say, oh, just wait for the teenage years. I'm like, the teenage years, this is the best. I'll be honest, there is some dramatic moments with you guys, but every one of them is worth it. And you guys are worth it. And I'm so honored to be here with you. You know, this past week, my daughter, Ava, and I were having a conversation in the car about some tensions that she was going through in school. I don't know how many of you guys have conversations in the car with your parents about stuff you're going through, life, school, friendships, you know. So we're having a conversation, and it was one of those types of talks where I'm like, I feel like we've had this conversation before, and what I know right now is nothing that mom says is gonna make a difference. And I just kind of felt like I was just ready to tap out. And so I just looked at her and I just said, you know, Ava, I really think this is something that you just need to talk to Jesus about. Isn't that the parent pastor thing to do? Go talk to Jesus about it. And Ava looks at me with these huge crocodile tears in her eyes. And she says, Mom, you and Dad always just seem so connected to Jesus. And she said, I know the right thing to say right now, and I know the right thing that I could do. But I'm just going to be honest. I feel so far away from God. And I just looked at her, and of course, I started tearing up too, because I'm like, you know, Ava, and I asked for her permission, of course, to share this, but it's easy sometimes, I'm sure she's not been in my shoes, to think that mom and dad have a direct connection to God because we're pastors or we're parents or we're, you know, involved in worship or ministry or whatever else. But I identified with Ava in that moment. I know what it feels like to feel really disconnected from God. And I believe that many of you in this room can identify with the feeling of just feeling disconnected from God. In fact, just as we were worshiping tonight, you might have seen all these people around you and just thought, man, they all just look like they are so close to God. I'm standing here, I don't feel anything. I don't even really know that I believe in what I'm singing about right now, but I just totally feel disconnected. And so you almost just start to check out and go, I know I'm here, but I'm not really here. It's crazy to me that we're in a culture where we have connection right at our fingertips, right? We can be lightning speed connected to each other all the time. And yet we're a fragmented, disconnected, anxious, depressed people. Because we're so connected, but yet we feel so disconnected. And tonight, what I want to talk about is connection with God. And it's not because I have all the answers, but it's because I know the answer. His name is Jesus. And what I know about Jesus is that as I've learned to seek and to find him, I've learned that he's so close. It's about our faith engaging and believing that he is that close and that he cares. And I cared so much about are Ava and I, are we the only ones that struggle with feeling disconnected from God? Or is this kind of a tension that more than just Ava and I feel? I want to make sure. So I did a survey with about 49 students a week ago Sunday to ask you guys some questions about how you feel in connection with God. And so we're going to play some Sons and Daughters Family Feud. All right? I need a son and a daughter that I've already assigned to come to the front of the room. You know who you are, Zoe And let's see, Justin, did I get that right? Yay me. Okay, Justin, you stand over here. Zoe, you stand over here. And then Joel, you're my scorekeeper man. All right? So, we're gonna play some Sons and Daughters Family Feud to determine how you guys feel in connection with God. Okay, so let's see how in tune you are with yourselves, all right? So I've asked, what did I say, about 49 or 50 students these questions, and the top 3 answers are going to be on the board. Now what's gonna happen is that I've picked a number between 1 and 20, and whoever gets closest to my number gets to go first. So it might mean the girls get to go first, it might mean the guys get to go first, okay? Then we're gonna ask the question that's gonna be on the screen, and you guys or gals have about 10 seconds to let Zoe or Justin know how you wanna vote, all right? You guys ready for this? Okay. All right, so the first question, you got some Family Feud music for me? Do we have any music? All right. Family Feud. Yeah, okay. Featuring the sons and the daughters. The top 3 answers are on the board. We interviewed 49 people to ask the question. How do you think God feels about you? I've picked a number between 1 and 20. What is it? 16. What is it? 14. The answer is 11. It's the best number. 11, 11, a portal to heaven, okay? If you know me, you might have known that. Girls are going first. All right. Top 3 answers on the board. Girls, how do you think God feels about you? Start speaking it out. And
proud.
Oh, look at that. 5 people. Give the girls a round of applause. All right. All right. Top 3 answers. You guys are going to have to, if you want to win, you guys are, okay, well, who said it? What is it?
He loves us.
He loves us. Oh! Boys are currently winning. All right, we've got one more answer in this. Girls, how do you think God feels about you? Passionate. Nope. Boys with a chance right here. Angry. All right, it's legitimate. Are you going with that?
No.
Okay.
Happy? I don't know.
Oh, what'd you say? What's your answer?
Good.
It's happy or good? Is that your final answer, Justin?
Yeah.
Happy or good? You're gonna go with that? You're gonna carry the weight of the sons right now? All right, what is it? Happy! Yes! Justin! All right. Our next question. What do you do that makes God laugh? Girls' turn.
Worship.
Worship. What do you do that makes God laugh? Is it worship? No.
When being special.
Just so we know, worship is not actually supposed to be up there right now. So this is not correct. So we have a 1 revealed already though, so I guess nobody gets the points for when I'm being a dork, weird, or special. I really liked that one personally. But the number 2 answer, I'll give it to you if you say it, but it is not worship. Okay, so who said worship? Was that the girls? Okay, so guys, you're up. What do you do that makes him laugh? What was it? Be funny. Be funny. Nope, it's actually the number 1 answer, so somehow we messed up. All right, 17 people said, funny things that I do. Okay, so we're gonna have to move on to the next one because this one, I should have checked them again. This number 2 was my jokes. You guys are real jokesters. Okay, question number 3. What makes you feel closest to God? Okay, hold on. Somehow these got mixed up, and these 2 are lined up with another question. So Brock, what should I do? I'm gonna ask a different question, okay? Can you go, okay, let's do this. It's not the question that's up here, but these are the two answers I believe. If you could change one thing about your relationship with God, what would it be? Girls.
Being closer to God. Being closer.
Being closer to him. Okay, we're gonna keep going because the being closer to him is the number one answer. More connection, yeah. Woo woo, 26, okay? Boys, if you could change one thing about your relationship with God, what would it be? That is not the right answer. That was actually included in the first one, so I'm gonna give you another one because the first one was more connection, hearing his voice, prayer, and Bible reading was number one. And 26 of you, okay. So the second one, I'll give you another chance. If you could change one thing about your relationship with God, what would it be?
Secret place.
Nope. All right, girls, chance to steal.
Being more intimate. Being more intimate. Patience.
Nope, wrong answer. But I'm telling you, you've got some good guesses out there.
Being more intimate.
All right, boys, chance to steal. There's at least 4 people that said it.
Physical presence.
Trying to help you out. A couple of you said it. It's not listening. Girls, I'll give you one more chance, then we'll go. Come on, Zoe.
Intimacy.
It's not intimacy. It is trust. It is trust. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The last ones I'm going to ask you is I've got a couple more here. What makes you feel closest to God? Justin, what makes you feel closest to God? Worship was answer number 2 with 15 of you. So great job, guys. All right. Girls, what makes you feel closest to God? Prayer, number 1 answer, 25. Yeah. Okay, third, so we've got one more. Justin, what makes you feel closest to God? Reading the Bible is bzzz. All right, girls, chance to steal.
Small group or
Yes. Although it's kind of rounded up with being at church or being with people who love him, and small group fits right into that answer. So yes, and there are 9. Okay, you guys are awesome. And just so you know, my trademark at youth is everybody gets Sour Patch Kids because that's my favorite candy. And so you're all winners. Give Justin and Zoe a huge hand. And Joel, who had the most points?
Boys.
Okay, the boys might have had a few more points than the girls, but you guys, sons and daughters, we're all loved equally. Uniquely. You're gonna get your Sour Patch Kids on the way out tonight, but I'll throw one. Ready? Oh, that was so bad. All right. All right, so just to sum up your answers, I'm sorry that got confusing. It's my fault for not going through it together. Can you give Brock, where are you at, Brock Bush? He helped me put that together. Brock, you're awesome. Whatever went wrong, it wasn't your fault, it was mine. So you're amazing. But to sum up your answers, here's what I hear you guys saying, and here's what I loved about this. You know that God loves you. Resoundingly in your answers, you know that God loves you. And you desire connection with him. You like hands down, you're like, I want more connection to God. You love being at church. You love being in a group of people. You like being connected to him through prayer and hearing from him. But you're going, I want to feel more connected to him. And here's what you guys need to know tonight. if you could just imagine for a moment, just as much as you want to feel connection to God, take that times 10,000 and 10 million and beyond, infinity and beyond, is how much he wants to be connected to you. He is so passionate about connection to you. He loves you so much. In fact, the whole Bible is a story of a God who is so relentlessly in pursuit of connection that he sent his son to die. He sent his son to come so he could reestablish connection. He's all about connection with you. He cares so deeply. Acts 17, verses 26 to 28 says it like this: starting from scratch, God made the entire human race and made the earth hospitable with plenty of time and space for living so we could seek after God and not just grope around in the dark, but actually find him. He doesn't play hide and seek with us. He's not remote, he's near. We live and move in him and we can't get away from him. I love the hope that's in this passage of scripture because connection to God does not need to be a game of hide and seek. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes? Like, God, I'm just trying to find you. Where are you? Like, it just feels so dark. And Paul says he's not remote. He's not far away. He is so near. In fact, in Proverbs 18, describes God as being even closer than a brother. The Bible says, even though sometimes my mother might forsake me, my father might forsake me, it's like he's a friend that's even closer than that. He is so near to us. We just can't even imagine how close that he draws near. And so I made up a little rap for you to remember. Because Brandon doesn't have anything on me, okay? I might be a white girl, but I can throw it down, all right? I'm gonna bring the heat. Okay, so I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna have you repeat each line after me, and then I'm gonna rap it, and you're gonna do it with me after that, all right? Are you ready? So repeat after me. I don't care if you're a girl, say I'm a son. I don't care if you're a guy, say I'm a daughter. It's good, all right? I'm a son. I'm a daughter. You are closer than a brother. I won't fear, because you are near. We're connected. We're connected. Ooh. All right, here we go. We're gonna say it like this. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. Ooh, I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. One more time. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. Woo! All right, we're gonna say that again a little bit. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. One of my most traumatic moments in high school. First day of my junior year in a new school. Now you guys gotta know something about me. I wish I could find a picture, I looked. But I grew up a Mennonite girl. Thank you. If I had a picture, you might cry more than go, woo, but so in the Mennonite culture that I grew up in, like I wasn't allowed to wear pants. I wasn't allowed to wear shorts. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to cut my hair. Wasn't allowed to wear jewelry. I mean, you kind of name it, it probably wasn't permitted, all right? And so I always wore skirts or dresses. And I even, after I was baptized at 11 years old, we wore like a head covering. And so not only did I often look a little different because of the clothes that I wore, but I also braided my hair almost every day and wore like a white cap on my head. You can only imagine the public school bus drives and the boys and how mean they were to me over that. They'd be like, if I had my hair like in a bun, they'd be like, I got a bun, does anybody have a hamburger? Like that sort of stupid stuff. Anyway, so it's my first day, and I'm a Mennonite girl walking into the Baptist school. Now, the cool thing about this is, at the Baptist school, they did have, they had a dress code. And so what I was excited about is that even though the girls wouldn't be wearing a head, veiling or covering or anything like that, they were going to be wearing skirts and blouses, so at least I could fit in. Because for me, the tension always was not ever feeling like I fit in. Never feeling like I belong. And so I'm just like, at least I can dress like the girls and I'm gonna be able to fit in. So I get to school that day and I'm sitting in chapel. And as I'm sitting in chapel as a new student, it's like we kind of came in and then all the other students kind of filed in around or whatever. I don't know why it was that way. But as soon as the girls started walking into the room, I felt myself break into a cold sweat. And here's why. Because I was in a blue and white striped t-shirt dress with pink rolled up sleeves and my Keds. Nice. I mean, seriously, it was really cool. It was my coolest outfit at the time. And all the girls were in kind of, I would say, like formal lined skirts and nice blouses with hose and like pumps on. Yeah, I know we don't dress like that anymore, but that was there. So they were very kind of dressed up for school. Now here's the bummer. I had clothes like that at home. Like I had clothes that I could have wore that I would have fit in. But I didn't know. Nobody told me these girls dress up like this for school. So I'm just sitting there and I want to die on the inside. And so move on past this moment. Years later, I'm probably in my mid-20s, and I'm struggling with fitting in. Still, like I'm at a place now, like I go to the Vineyard. I get to dress the way that I want to dress. I've got my hair cut. I'm not a Mennonite girl anymore. I mean, I'm kind of cool. Like, people tell me I dress cute, Thank you, ladies. But I still struggled with fitting in. Like, it doesn't matter what I was wearing or how much I connected, with people, and I kind of looked the same now. I struggled with fitting in. I struggled with belonging all the time. And so I'm having a prayer time with a pastor, and I'm just saying, like, where does this tension and this struggle of fitting in, I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of it because when you feel like you struggle to fit in or you feel like you struggle to belong, you always feel so disconnected, right? And so she's like, Carolyn, let's just pray into this. And she says, let's just pray. And she said, I just want you to think of any time you remember when you were younger where you really felt like you didn't fit in. So I closed my eyes, and this memory at the time, it wasn't really on my radar. All of a sudden, I remember this moment, my first year, junior, high school, and this moment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I see myself. I'm in this chapel, and I'm sitting there, and she's like, Carolyn, she said, I just want you to take a moment, and I want you to picture Jesus in the room. I want you to see if Jesus is in the room. And I'm like, okay, this is weird, but I'll do that. And so I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, I saw him. And when I saw him, I started laughing so hard that I started crying, the ugly cry. And I was crying, and I was laughing, and she's like, well, obviously something is going on. And I'm like, oh yeah, Jesus is here. You will never believe what he's wearing. There's Jesus, and he's sitting beside me, and he has a blue and white striped t-shirt on with pink rolled up sleeves. And he looked at me and he said, Carolyn, you always fit in with me. And what was so cool about that is that every memory that I have in my life where I felt like I didn't fit in or I didn't belong, all I have to do is imagine him now beside me wearing what I wear. And I know it's a lie. I've always belonged. I've always fit in because he's always identified with me. It's who he is. He gets us. He knows you. He gets me. He doesn't play hide and seek with us. He's not remote. He's near. We can't get away from him. That song, Reckless Love, he's just pursuing our hearts. We cannot get away from him. So rather than crying out sometimes just God, I don't feel close to you. So now I just ask God, where are you right now? I know you're here. Where are you? Show me. Show me what you see right now, God. Show me, because I know you're here. It's just a matter of me being intentional to say, where are you? I'm not going to be desperate to know you're out there somewhere. No, I know that you are here with me because you promise you are. Just not too long ago, I was praying with somebody about healing. And I'll be honest, like I've been in a season where I've prayed for people with healing and people aren't getting healed. I don't know how many of you wrestle with that, but I'm like, nothing's happening. And I start to lose faith, like, God, are you really here? Do you really want to heal? And so I was just asking him, okay, God, like, you say you identify with me in every way. How do you identify with me not being able to heal? You know what he said? God is so wise. He said, Carolyn, he said, take a moment and think about what the first 30 years might have been like for Jesus. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to get schooled. So I'm like, all right. I mean, we don't know a lot about Jesus' first 30 years, right? So I started to think about it. What were Jesus' first 30 years like? Well, first of all, he came to earth as a baby. And so he had to identify with a baby and like poop in a cloth diaper, spit up, cry, have somebody hold him, like pat his back. Like he had to learn how to walk. He had to learn how to talk. He went through puberty, you guys. And I felt like Jesus wanted to make sure that you know that God did not give him a special pass through puberty. He identifies with all the range of emotions. He didn't get to not go through that. He went through it so he could what with you? So he could identify with you and with me. He chose to submit to parents that were not his blood parents. How many of you have parents in your life that are not your blood parents? A lot of you. He knows what it feels like to honor parents that are not yours by blood. And he chose to do it. I can imagine that there were times where he wanted to say, you know, I think that God thinks differently than you guys. Because I know I've got this like connection to God and you guys are wrong, right? But he chose to submit to parents. And there's actually, we read that in the Bible, illustration, story of when Jesus submitted to his parents. Do you know how often that we feel like we don't really belong? Any of you have just been like, I know that secretly I'm adopted and my parents have never told me because I just don't feel like they're my parents. I don't know, am I the only one that growing up, I'm like, I just don't think this is where I belong. Like you just feel this sense of disconnect. And there are those of you that are adopted and you feel like, I don't know, do I really belong? Like Jesus gets that. He didn't belong here. He chose to belong here. He gets that feeling of not really belonging. He chose to do it because he wanted to identify with you in the moments of not feeling like you belong. He gets it. Jesus was teased and he was bullied. Do you know how I know that he had to be teased? Because it was pretty common knowledge that his parents were not married when he was conceived. And in that day, basically you're an illegitimate child. So that he was illegitimate, you gotta know that he was teased about that. I'll bet you there's some of you here in this room that you were conceived before your parents were married. You need to know that Jesus understands the pain of being teased or that feeling of being bullied. He gets it. Jesus knew who he was, but he didn't even have permission to tell everybody until later in life. So like he knows, he spends 30 years knowing that he's God's son, but he doesn't really get to tell people that. He like totally lived normal. And he was good with it. He was a carpenter's son. He was a normal kid. You know, he went to school, he had a job. He had brothers and sisters that he related to. He was normal. He identifies with being normal. Not being known as the Son of God, but being known as the Son of Man. He knows what it's like to be a son One of the other things I love about that is that Jesus didn't need to be doing ministry work to be a perfect son. Do you think God loved him any more in those 3 years of ministry than he loved him for the first 30? What do you guys think? Maybe? No. He was so pleased. When Jesus was baptized, he said, "This is my son whom I am well pleased." Jesus had not done a thing yet that would have been considered like the ministry and the work of Jesus. And he was so pleased with him. Jesus felt very real limitations. Can you imagine how many funerals he attended? From what we know, his dad died at some point in his life. When I thought about that, I thought, yeah, Jesus, you totally do get what it's like to be around people who are sick and not be able to heal them. Imagine the Son of God who has all power and all authority and yet is limited to not use it. You think he doesn't know what that feels like for us to feel limited? Oh, he gets it. And as soon as I thought about that, I thought, it is not a wonder that he spent 3 years going around and healing everybody. Can you imagine? Because he's like, I've been waiting for 30 years and I've seen enough death and I've seen enough destruction and I've seen enough of all of this and I am coming after you, devil. I'm not going to watch this for another moment. That's what it means. That is, there is power in connection to God. And what is so cool is that he identified with us so much. He came to do that because he said, I do not want one other son or daughter to live for one moment without knowing what it feels like to be fully immersed in me. To be able to live as a son or daughter fully connected to me all the time, 24/7, full access to me. He didn't want you to go through high school. He didn't want you to go through junior high. It's hard without him. He didn't want you to go through relationships without him. Relationships are hard. Brother, sister tensions, mom. He wanted to know exactly how you felt and how I felt. And so if there's one thing we can know is we can never be a victim and be like, Jesus, you just don't get this, because he does. He does. He identifies with us. He chose to go through it all so we could have personal connection with him and that we could trust that there is nothing that we go through that he does not understand. We are never alone in it. Never. I want you to say that little rap again with me. You ready? 1, 2, ready, go. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. Woo! I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. You are connected to him. Nobody can steal that from you. You are connected to him. Hebrews 4, verse 15 says, now that we know what we have, Jesus, this great high priest with ready access to God, let's not let it slip through our fingers. We don't have a priest who is out of touch with our reality. He is not out of touch with your reality. It doesn't matter that he lived thousands of years ago. He is totally in touch with your reality because he's with you every day. He has been through weakness and testing, and he experienced it all but the sin. So let's walk right up to him and get what he is so ready to give to us. Take the mercy, accept the help. We love to say that Holy Spirit is live-in help. Like there's not a moment of the day that Jesus doesn't want to help us with what we're going through. And as I said a moment ago, that connection to him is power. It's power. You guys, when you feel like cussing at somebody on the basketball team or the volleyball team and joining in, and you choose not to, what is that? It's power. It's power. You know why? Because you're choosing not to do what your flesh wants to do, what your body, what your instinct wants to do. Okay, you choose not to slam the door on your parents because they just said something really dumb. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna go to my room and I hope they hear me slam the door. You guys, it's overrated, I'm just saying, you know. But you choose not to slam the door because you know better. You know what that is? That's power. That's God's power at work in you. You've got a friend that says something nasty to you at school, says something unkind, and you start texting your other friend and be like, oh my gosh, they'll never believe what they just said to me, and la, 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 and I can't even believe it. I mean, did you see what she was wearing? And la, 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 la. And you're like going off as fast as those little fingers can type. I know, because I see you. And you're like, nope, delete. Power. That is the presence of God in you telling you that you are more than that. You're not submitting to how you want to react or how you feel like responding in the moment. You're making a choice to live differently. That is God's power at work in you. God's power at work in you is not just when you go to church and you worship or you pray for somebody to be healed or you have a word of knowledge for somebody on the streets or something like that. That is a part of God's power at work. But you experience God's power at work in your life every day when you make choices that are beyond you. Power. Connection. It's power. We're superheroes. You guys, I love superhero movies. Avengers, I saw the first Avengers movie 6 times in the theater. That is commitment. I know. I don't know if I should be proud of that or really sad. But I'm proud. Okay. Like, who doesn't want to be a superhero? I want to be Wonder Woman. And let's not get into the superhero discussion. I will say Batman is not a superhero because I have a microphone right now. Anyway, thank you. But we have superhero powers living in us. And here's the thing, the enemy wants to keep you from understanding the power that's within you. He wants to keep you from understanding the power that's within you, because when you start to get it, like every moment God's with me and he's here to partner with me and I'm not alone, boom, 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 your life starts to begin to change. Your relationships start to begin to change. The loneliness and the anxiety and the depression start to fade. Listen, I've dealt with depression. I know how real it is. But what I know in that is I was not alone. And what depression wants to do is it wants to get you to this point where you're so alone and you're so afraid. You're like, really? My life doesn't really matter. I remember just getting in the car and just wanting to drive. I don't even know where I want to drive. I just want to drive away. I just want to walk. I just want to go away. Why? Because you just want to isolate. That's what fear does to you. That's what disconnect does to you. It gets you in this place where you just start removing yourself. Why do you think the enemy wants as sons and daughters to remove themselves? So you're not connected, and so you're not making a difference. Because there's only one you. And he knows what you're capable of. He knows the shift that can happen in your family and in your friendships and in your life when you get a hold of who you are. So does he want to distract you? You bet. Does he want to keep you feeling disconnected? You bet. So stop agreeing with him with your mouth. Stop telling people, I just feel so disconnected all the time. If you say it, you will be. What you speak out of your mouth is a prophetic word, because you're a son and a daughter. And so what that means, if I start saying, well, I'm just this, and well, I'm just disconnected, I'm, you know what I hear a lot? I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Can I be real? I'm totally unscripted now anyway. I'm just anxious. Oh, it's my depression. Does your depression own you? Your anxiety own you? Because let me tell you, you start speaking about your anxiety and your depression every day, and you're gonna stay anxious and depressed. I am not my anxiety. I am not the name of my disease. I am who he says that I am. I won't receive any of that as part of who I am. I might be dealing with it out here, but it does not own me. And I will not speak it out that it owns me, because you know what? Too many of our parents have dealt with anxiety and depression. There's generational stuff like that in our lives, and the more we agree with it, the more it begins to consume us. Stop owning that crap. Don't own it. Don't speak it out. Don't agree with disconnection. Start speaking out. You know what? God, I am connected because you're in me, and I know you're here right now. Show me how I'm connected. Show me where you are right now, Jesus. I'm going to share another Ava story with you because she said that I could. She's so kind. When she was talking to me about her struggle of feeling connected to God, I reminded her of a conversation that she had with him this past year. And Ava's a really fantastic volleyball player, and she had received a number of awards her freshman year, totally kind of unsuspecting and what have you. And she had just an amazing weekend at a tournament and a couple really great games and had an MVP award. And the week after it, she started playing like terrible. She was just a head case. Anybody in here just become a head case sometimes? Oh, yeah. I mean, coach was kind of like, what's going on? Parents are like, we're like, what is going on with her? Like, it's like she doesn't even know how to hit a ball. And she was getting so down on herself. And I mean, it was just kind of bad. And so we came home after a game one night and she's crying and Chad and I are just like, well, what's going on? And all of a sudden I have this like moment where I hear the Lord say like, oh, come on, where am I at here? I don't want to misquote God. I heard him say, no amount of conversations with her is going to change her feelings. Ava has a standard she's holding herself to, and she's so afraid of letting people down. Pressure to perform and feel fear of failure is shutting her down. Ask her to talk to me and give her a couple questions. And so I said to her, Ava, you know what? I don't know what's going on right now. Of course, I didn't tell her that God told me all that. I just said, I think that God has a couple questions he'd love to talk to you about. And what I know is when she puts her headphones on and she puts some worship music on and if she can get a notebook and paper and go after it, that she can hear. And so I said, I've got a couple questions I want you to ask God. The first one is, what standard am I holding myself to? The second one is, what am I afraid of? And the third one is, God, how do you see me? A couple hours later, she came to me and she was just crying and she's like, Mom, she's like, what God had to say to me. She said, it was so good. And I said, well, what did he say? And she said, well, when I asked God what standard I'm holding myself to, it's that I've got to be an MVP every game. And she said, there's just no way that I can live up to being an MVP. I'm so afraid of letting my friends down now that I've had this. I've got some athletes in the room. You know what that's like? Like I've had this measure of success and now I've got to be that. And the fear was just killing her. She said, I asked God what I'm afraid of. And immediately, I heard that I'm afraid of embarrassing myself. I'm afraid of letting my team down. I'm afraid of working hard only to fail. And then she said, Mom, I asked God, how do you see me? And she said, you know how sometimes when you ask God, how do you see me? And you just hear kind of those like token things like, oh, he sees me as righteous and he sees me as beloved. And she's like, I was like, God, you've got to give me another word. And she said, so I heard him say ratified. She's like, I don't know what that means, so I had to Google it. So she said, I knew it was him. And ratified is about approval. It's putting a stamp of approval. And she said, God said I'd given that stamp of approval to other people instead of letting him approve me. And she said, then I heard him say rectification. I'm like, every time I think rectal, I think, what does rectification mean? She says, God said he wants to define me. He wants to help me redefine things, and he wants to make it right. And he said, Ava, you don't have to measure up to a title because I'm enough. You are undefined by people and redefined by me. And You could see it on her face. It was like a load had just been taken off, and she just was like relaxed and she was free. Jesus' truth set her free. And she played the rest of the season like I knew Eva to play. She needed Jesus' truth to set her free. You guys, we need Jesus' truth to set us free. Like my words today, like they might help shift some things in your mind and your heart. But here's what I know. It is only Jesus' truth that has the power to set you free. It's only his truth that has the power to set me free. My parents can tell me stuff. My husband can tell me stuff. You know, the pastor can tell me stuff, but when Jesus says it, do you know why it changes us? Because there's like this love and grace that comes with it that empowers us to believe it. And he says stuff in such a way that it's like, oh, you get me. You get me. Like, how do you know me so well, God? It's kind of like you created me or something, right? Like, you get me. He gets your sense of humor. He does love your jokes because he gets you when you're acting like a dork and you're acting weird and special. He's like, that is my kid. And Matt, like he's doing it with you because he created you for that. He's not just with you in what you can. Every moment of your life can be a holy moment. It's not reserved for church. It's not reserved for worship. He just loves being with you. He loves being connected to you. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. One more time. I'm a son, I'm a daughter, you are closer than a brother. I won't fear, you are near, we're connected. Take it, devil. Take it. Okay, I want to do something. I want y'all to close your eyes. I want all of you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine something with me right now, okay? I want you to imagine your heart as a room. And Jesus as your roommate. Imagine your heart as a room and Jesus as your roommate. So I believe that many of you, you're kind of picturing a room. All of your rooms are going to be unique. Imagine Jesus in that room with you. I want you just to think about for a moment. I'm not going to ask people to say out loud, but like, what does the room look like? Just kind of think about how you would describe the room. In your room, I want you to actually take a moment and look up. What do you see when you look up? With your eyes still closed, if you look up and there's no ceiling, I want you to raise your hand. At least half or more of the room. Awesome. Cool. Jesus is there with you right now. And I want you to think about your emotions. Like, do you feel safe? Do you feel like at home there? Do you feel love? Do you feel fear? Like, what are some of the emotions you're feeling right now in this room? I hope it feels like a really safe place. Jesus has a secret to tell you. Something that you need to hear tonight. I believe if you want to hear from him, you're going to tune in right now. Imagine Jesus in the room with you. He has a secret to tell you. And he's going to come up alongside you right now and he's going to whisper it in your ear. What do you need to hear tonight? I want you to open your eyes. I would encourage you later on, this is a place that you can go to anytime. A good friend of mine, she's a counselor and therapist, Kate Aldridge. I did this activity with her just recently. It's her activity, and I loved it. And when I saw Jesus, he was in a sombrero, playing like a tiny little guitar. So in the last week, every time I've been considering Jesus with me, I'm just like, I see him in a sombrero playing a little guitar, and I'm like, what are we gonna sing? But I love it because what I know right now in my life is that I need a vacation. And he's just kind of like, come away with me. And tonight, just now, as I was doing that, I just heard him whisper in my ear, you're gonna be okay. Is there anybody that would like to just share like what you heard him say? It's okay. Was that meaningful to you? Yeah. Who else? What'd you hear him say?
I am here.
He's here.
My daughter, your future is bright.
He loves my loved ones more than I do, and everything's going to be good.
That's a good word. You needed to hear that, didn't you? Big time. Yeah. Don't be scared. You're enough. That just gives me goosebumps. Your actions don't define you, he does. He what? You're safe. He is safe. I'm sorry. He is safe. He said what? He loves you with all of his heart. So good.